He's the jock.
And she's the journalist.
And you're listening to the J&J Broadcast.
Welcome to your weekly Pick Six broadcast. I'm Max Starks, the jock, joined by my co-host Shannon Green, the journalist. And Shannon, let's just jump right into it. Who do you think is the biggest winner and loser in the Big 12 expansion bust?
Well, I'm going to start with the biggest winner out of this entire debacle. The biggest winner for me is obviously Mike Rowbottom, who is the commissioner of the American Athletic Conference. He has been steadfast in saying that their conference was going to be fine. They weren't worried. They had contingency plans if something went down and happened. And I just really respect and admire how he handled the situation, because it was very poorly handled by the Big 12, which leads me to the biggest loser, which for me is the Big 12, Bob Bowlesby, a lot of the university presidents who, Texas and Oklahoma, and I hate to say Texas because that is my alma mater, but I definitely think they really, really poorly mishandled this. And I don't know, something about this feels very disingenuous. You know, I feel like if this were the SEC or the ACC and they were going to expand, they would handle this in a much more efficient manner and it wouldn't play out this poorly.
That was definitely a new spin. I definitely feel what you're saying as far as the AAC, because it looks like that would have probably been the most hurt by that expansion as far as poaching teams off of. But you know what I'm going to go with? The biggest winner is Jamie Pollard at Iowa State. He was very candid on a radio interview talking about the expansion bust and how he felt that if we were going to bring in teams that were going to be like Rutgers and Boston College, and cited how Boston College hadn't won a conference game in 3 years, and, you know, cutting up that pie. You know, they like that big piece of pie, and when you start slivering the pie, you know, guys start getting angry because they got them budgets to fill. So I feel like he was the biggest winner because he was the most vocal about it. And then loser, I'm going to go with Tom Herman. I'm going to go Coach Herman out of Houston, because I think they would have been the leading candidate in that expansion, and he was sticking to Houston to see them through a potential conference switch. And now I feel like now he has to entertain the offers of other schools, you know, a la LSU or an FSU if Jimbo goes to LSU, all these crazy conspiracies.
Or Texas.
Now, well, or UT. R.I.P. Charlie Strong.
We know it's coming.
I know. We know it's coming. But, yeah, so, I mean, those are my winners and losers.
Well, speaking of losers, let's talk about Cam Newton. I know, that was awful. Sorry.
So wrong. Too soon, man. Too soon.
I know, way too soon. Okay, but I only mean it in the context of not actually losing the game against the Saints, which they did, 41-38, and now they're 1-5 headed into the bye week. I mean how he handled himself in the post-game press conference. This is the second time we've seen him walk out of a press conference early because he couldn't handle the loss. Do you think it's fair that we judge Cam Newton's character based on how he handles himself in the media?
Yes, I do, because part of your job as a professional athlete, as a leader, a mentor, a role model, is how you deal with adversity when things don't go your way. It's easy to talk to anybody when things are going great. You know, when everything's rainbow and unicorns, everything's easy. It's easy to talk to somebody. We'll talk for hours. But when you lose is when you show your true character of self. And the two times we've seen this have been after two losses. You know, you think of Super Bowl, he got a pass on that. He got a pass on Super Bowl, even though some people went a little harder than others. But this latest was a straw that broke the camel's back. Like, listen, if you're going to showboat, if you're going to do everything, you got to be able to back it up with being a man and looking negativity in the face and saying, I'm bigger than this. And he's shown that he's not bigger than his emotions. I think that's the biggest thing. His emotions still aren't in check. And that's what bothers me, because you are a professional. You got paid all this money to be the face of a franchise. You got to answer for the good and the bad. And, yes, he should be judged on this. And right now he is failing in that category.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, just to be blunt and simple. I just think character is a pattern of behavior that you show in adversity. So I couldn't agree more with your assessment. I mean, he's totally fine with putting on a fashion show and dabbing and, flashing his handsome smile and all that good stuff when everything's going good. And then when things go bad, he likes to ghost out. So to me, that's a poor display of leadership and character. And it's not just about the media. It's about the message that you're sending to everyone who's actually watching. So couldn't agree more.
Well, here's another one, since we're talking about messages. Will Colin Kaepernick's message be received based on how he performs?
I think so, only because I really don't think that most people in the world are deep enough to really care about issues in the world. And I think we have a short attention span. I've said this before when we've talked about this topic. I think people care about issues for about 5 seconds before they're on to the next thing. We tend to follow trends, and, for a while, everybody was talking about police brutality. Have you heard a lot about it since? Not really. And I'm not saying that that's right. I mean, I commend Colin Kaepernick for what he's doing, bringing light to an important issue that we should be talking about. But I also, to liken it to Muhammad Ali, we all know that a big part of the reason that Muhammad Ali's message was so well received years after the fact, because it wasn't received during the time, but the reason why it even garnered that amount of attention was because he was a successful boxer. If he wasn't a champion, if he wasn't successful, you wouldn't have listened to him. So, I mean, I hate to say it this way, but I think Kaepernick has to really pick up his game on the field in order to keep the conversation going and keep people interested.
Winning cures all ills, but it also brings everything to light. When you win, people want to cover you, they want to talk to you, and they want to talk about your causes. So you have to win in order for that to be an opportunity. And San Francisco's not on that trend. And for him, if he wants to make sure that this message is received and is remembered for years to come, he better start slinging that ball and putting the ball in the end zone if he wants that to happen. It's easy when you're the backup, because the backup's the favorite guy on the football team until he has to start. And
Absolutely.
Now he's in that role. What is he going to do with that? So totally agree.
Well, let's kick it to a different topic. We've been talking about football. Let's take it onto the basketball court. NBA season is getting geared up. One of the big storylines is going to be the fractured relationship between NBA's favorite couple, Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant, who are now divorced. So my question to you is, should Russell Westbrook still be angry, or is it time to let it go?
Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned.
Ooh.
And that's what I feel like.
What you trying to say? Is that a dig?
No, that's not a dig on you. It might be a dig on Russell Westbrook, though.
That's what I'm saying. You basically call him a woman.
I shouldn't even say that because
I know that's very misogynistic of you, Max.
It is. I was reading an excerpt from Donald Trump. I apologize. But like, why are you still mad? Like, you have your team. You're the head of that team. You're gonna get paid very well to be the leader of that team, and people leave all the time. I was like, did you not learn anything from when LeBron left Cleveland? But I feel like it's one of those things. Like, you have to let it go. Like you felt like you were in this long-term relationship and didn't get a ring, literally and figuratively. And he's just holding on to this. I tell you, I can't wait till they play each other in the regular season, because there's going to be fireworks. As long as nobody pulls a little razor blade out of their cheek, we should be good in the game. It's going to be exciting. But
well, we don't want to see violence. We definitely don't want to see that. But just to play devil's advocate, because I think the obvious answer is like, get over it, move on. But I could understand a little bit of him feeling like Kevin just wasn't patient enough, because by no means am I trying to compare Michael Jordan to Kevin Durant. But my point is, for what I'm about to say, is that it took Michael Jordan years before he got his first NBA championship. I think 7 or 8 years. So I know that Kevin gave it a decent run, but maybe they were about to peak. So maybe he just feels like he prematurely left. So, I don't know. I'm just trying to give a brother a chance to hold on to a little bit of bitterness.
It was a different day and age. This is the age of the super teams. And if you want to have a shot in today's NBA, it's now these super teams. Even though David Stern, before he left, tried to stop Chris Paul from leaving and creating a super team, now you're getting them just come left and right in the age of silver. So Kevin was like, listen, the best chance I'm going to have of getting a ring is not going to be here because we're not going to bring those caliber of athletes here. And he probably saw what management was thinking as far as it not being something that they could bring in the guys that they needed necessary to win. And it's like a Golden State has a gap, and they have the money to pay me, so I would rather go be on that team. That's a team that's beating us. And so I felt like he made the best decision for him to be in a championship position.
Okay, fair enough. What do we got next?
Moving on to that, since we're talking about love, is the public's love affair with Ronda Rousey over? Has the honeymoon period officially ended?
Yes, but I think it's ended more so for the MMA in terms of her opponent. I look at Ronda Rousey similar to Tiger Woods in the sense of she held a very threatening presence because she was so dominant for so long. I mean, she was before Holly Holm. She was 12-0, and all of her wins were pretty decisive. 3 knockouts, 9 by submission. So none of these wins were made by decision. So I think that she had a very intimidating presence, but I think she's lost that edge, and I definitely think she showed her vulnerability. I still think people in the public are going to be interested and want to watch her just because she is such a transcendent figure for that sport.
Yeah, I have to say that. When you have that meteoric rise that she had and coming out with the undefeated, and actually she had the fastest knockout time in UFC history, you get that, and then you have that match against Holly Holm that just completely exposes her. It kind of took the wind out of the sails. I remember people trying to pack in the Buffalo Wild Wings to see the Ronda Rousey main event. And literally, if you didn't get there after they announced the names, the fight was over because she was just such a dominant, striker on her feet. Then now you get someone like Holly Holm who knows how to play the defensive game and knows that once she gets her into a grapple or gets any type of side mount or full mount, that she can't get out of it. She can't work the ground game, and even though she says she's been working on it, that's still your crux until you come out and you show somebody that you can work on your back and get out of a mount position, and then you can actually grapple on the ground. I'm all for it, but yeah, it's going to take a lot to get her to build her even near the level that she was, because she'll never be there again.
Well, let's end it on a light and bright note. Let's go to Ed Whitlock of Milton, Ontario, who smashed a marathon world record for his age division. It's important to know that he's 85 years old, and he ran 26.2 miles in 3 hours, 56 minutes, and 33 seconds. The previous record was 4 hours, 34 minutes, and 55 seconds, set in 2004. Is this possibly one of the best things that we'll see all year in the sports world?
That is ridiculous. I can't even ride a bike for 26 miles, let alone try and run it. under 4 hours, a sub 4 hour marathon. That is just incredible to me. I mean, kudos to him. That's tremendous. And I don't think anything can beat that. Maybe if the Browns all of a sudden made it to the Super Bowl.
You just had to throw the Browns into it, didn't you?
I did, because if it's Brown, flush it, and I'm tired of people talking about the Browns and their woes. Nobody cares. You ain't won a game. Win a game, then we can start talking about you in the positive. So, 85-year-old man marathon runner, kudos, top honors to him.
Well, we know Max is a hater, but we hope you guys are lovers. And be sure to like us on Facebook at Jock and Journalist and follow us on Twitter at Jock Journalist. Thank you for listening to us, and tune in next week.